Hey everyone, today's project is extra special. We're turning a child's drawing into a real sterling silver pendant. And now, using a softer flame, I'm adding a layer of soot to the casting area. This might look random, but it's actually crucial. The soot layer acts as a release agent, so the silver won't stick to the ingot when we pour. Now I'm going to melt my silver. Watch how they start to glow as they heat up. That's pure metalworking magic right there. Once the silver is heated and starting to dome up, I'm adding borax flux. This does two things. It cleans the surface and makes the molten silver flow more smoothly when we cast it. Sterling silver has a melting point of 893 degrees Celsius. That's when it starts to melt. But for casting, we need to get it hotter, to around 960 to 980 degrees Celsius. That's the ideal pouring temperature. At this temperature, the silver flows beautifully into the ingot. And there we go, casting complete. A nice uniform nugget that we can work with. No air bubbles, no imperfections, just solid sterling silver ready to be transformed. Now comes the arm workout, rolling the silver nugget into sheet metal. I'm using a rolling mill to gradually compress and thin out this metal. The key word here is gradually. You can't just crank it down in one go. You need to work the metal slowly, letting it stretch and compress evenly. Every 4 to 5 passes through the mill, I need to anneal the silver. Because as we work metal, it gets harder and more brittle. This is called work hardening. Annealing means heating the silver until it glows and then quenching it in cold water. This resets the molecular structure and makes it soft and workable again. Skip this step and your metal will crack. Rolling, annealing. It's a rhythm, and slowly but surely, this chunky nugget is becoming a beautiful even sheet of silver. I'm aiming for just under 1 millimeter thick. Final passes through the mill and we're there. After annealing again, I'm using my planishing hammer to smooth out any slight warping from the rolling process. We want this perfectly flat before we start cutting out our jellyfish. I've scaled down the drawing to pendant size, and now we're going to transform this cute little jellyfish into a wearable piece of art. This is going to be a long process with tons of techniques, so buckle up, let's make some magic happen. I'm drilling my pilot holes. These little holes are where my saw blade will thread through to cut out the interior detail. Every enclosed space needs its own pilot hole. I'm being really careful here. Drill in the wrong spot and you can ruin the whole thing. Now we move to hand piercing. I'm using a jeweler's saw with a superfine blade to cut out all the fine interior details. Look at these curves and shapes from the original drawing. Every tentacle, every little detail. This is what makes it so special. We're staying true to the kids' artwork. Here's a random jellyfish fact. They have been around for more than 500 million years. And they have survived every mass extinction event on Earth. Talk about resilient. Interior details done, and now I'm sawing out the outer edge of the jellyfish. And the jellyfish is free. Now I'm using my torch to burn off the paper that was glued to the silver. Just a quick buff to clean up the edges of our jellyfish. Oh, it's looking so cute. Now I'm drilling tiny sinkholes on the back of the piece. These little divots are where solder will sit for sweat soldering. I'm heating the piece and adding powder flux. I'm placing these tiny balls of solder into each little sinkhole. I'm gently heating them enough to make them stick in place. This is called tacking the solder. It holds everything in position for the real soldering later. And there we go, our bottom plate is ready. Now it's time for sweat soldering. I'm placing the jellyfish on my binding wire ball. This elevates the piece so heat flows evenly from all sides. Sweat soldering is a technique where solder is pre-placed on one surface. Then you heat both pieces together until the solder flows and joins them. No visible solder seams, just a clean bond. Heating, and there. You can see the solder flash as it melts and bonds the two layers together. And back into the pickle it goes. Just look at that. The detail from the drawing is really starting to shine through. You can see every little quirk from the original artwork. And now for something fun, making bubbles. I'm using off-cut chain to create little silver balls. Some bubbles are made from 2 chain links and some are made from single chain links. This gives me different sizes, just like real bubbles, and it's a great way to use scrap metal. The surface tension of molten silver naturally pulls it into a ball shape. Placing the little silver bubbles around the jellyfish. Now that I'm happy with the placing, it's time to solder these little bubbles into place. And now I'm holding thumbs that they are soldered on properly, because if I put it into the pickle and they're not, they're just going to fall off again. Luckily it looks like I got them all. Now it's time for the ultrasonic just to speed up the cleaning process. The ultrasonic cleaner uses high-frequency sound waves to agitate the liquid and blast away residue. It's so satisfying. I'm using a permanent marker to outline the jellyfish and bubbles. This gives me a natural flowing border to follow. Just piercing along the flowy black outline. And done. Buffing around the edges with a small rubber wheel. This gets into all the curves and removes those saw marks, giving us a smooth, polished edge all around. The back of a piece is just as important as the front. You want it comfortable against the skin and professionally finished. We are progressively smoothing and polishing, working through different grits to get to that perfect surface. Each step removes the scratches from the previous step. Every pendant needs a way to hang. I'm cutting a piece from this off-cut silver bar. I'm filing one edge flat and the other edge rounded. Sterling silver is always marked 925 because it's 92.5% pure silver. That 925 hallmark is your guarantee of quality, and the smiley is just because this piece makes me happy. Here I'm using my parallel pliers and my half-round flat pliers to shape the bale I want. Tip-X acts as a barrier, ensuring that solder only flows onto areas where you have applied flux, not onto surrounding surfaces. And now soldering it onto the back of the pendant. The bale needs to be strong enough to support the weight, but positioned so that the pendant hangs properly. Getting that balance right is key. I'm using my electric graver tool to create texture around the edge of the jellyfish. I'm making scratches on the inside of the jellyfish, just like the colouring in of the original drawing. This is so cool. We're literally translating a child's pencil strokes into metal. Every imperfect line, every artistic choice, it's all here. Here I'm using a 1200 grit Moores disc just to clean up the back a bit. I just love how shiny it looks. And now the magic touch, oxidizing. I'm using bleach and a toothpick to carefully darken the inside of the jellyfish and its border. Just look at that contrast. The oxidation is sitting exactly where I want it. From paper to precious metal, this piece will be treasured for generations, and that, my friend, is the magic of custom jewellery. Moving to the large polisher, and I need to be super careful here. If the piece hooks on the wheel, it will shoot across the room and get damaged. Then I'd have to either fix it or start over completely. I start with a rough rouge to act as a final step of buffing. I'm moving to the final polishing compound on a softer wheel. Watch that mirror finish develop. This is where all my hard work pays off. Into the ultrasonic one last time to remove all the polishing compound. And there's that satisfying puff of grime coming off. I never get tired of that. And here it is, a child's jellyfish drawing transformed into a sterling silver pendant that will last forever. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe, and remember to support your local artists.